actually, our attorney, and
Justice?
our...
Justice White, you want me to turn the recorder off?
No.
Okay.
Our initial response to the lawsuit at hand should have been filed today.
Oh, okay.
And it's available on Court Connect for anybody that knows how to get on the state Court Connect system. And you'll be able to see the original complaint that was filed and then our first response. So just to let you know, but it's progression. I mean, it's just the steps that these things go through. Have you knocked that tire down yet?
Not yet. 6:20. It's moved on 2 weeks. So,
The judge promised us a beer and peanut truck.
I'm gonna be, my family's gonna be hurt if you don't call me. I told him I wanted to see that thing come down. I'm gonna make bets.
I want to see it from afar.
I just have to be just out of the distance of it.
the only thing, well, okay, we'll get to that. But the only thing now that on the tower that they're waiting on, the energy has been moved. They're waiting on Ritter to move a couple of lines. And so we don't know, hopefully they've got it potentially scheduled for 6:20. And again, it's not, at one time it was going to go straight north. Now it's gonna kind of go northeast a little bit, so.
I kind of thought that's what it was going to do all along.
Maybe I may have been thinking about it wrong, so, anyway.
We're out of that.
So, just to kind of help that, kind of out that direction a little bit. I'm gonna skip the first item on the agenda, and if we'll just go down to the builder's risk insurance policy and talk about that for just a second. I think Cindy sent everybody a copy of that yesterday. Did you receive that? Okay, so honestly, the only thing I think that may just need to be pointed out on that, so C&I, the builder is carrying that. We talked a little bit today, there is a $50,000 deductible on that. They would be, depending on if we had a claim, more than likely they would be responsible for paying that deductible. The division there is there's a $4 million on the existing structure, and then the rest is on the new build, and it's as in progress. As the building comes up, they would pay more. So if the building's not there, obviously, and we had a claim, they wouldn't give us money for something that wasn't there. So, does that...
Only if it damaged some of the bolt pattern.
Something like that.
that.
Yeah, something like that. So, does anybody have any questions concerning that? No. Okay. Osceola Courthouse, the insurance policy on that one, I did take a look. It also is kind of an actual cash value is what's insured. So the building itself is insured for about $3.8 million, and then the contents are close, and I'm just kind of rounding off the figures, close to $600,000 there. When it comes up for renewal, that may be something we want to look at increasing if we can potentially afford it or not. I mean, it's just obviously if something catastrophic something came through and we could not replace the building for the $4 million. So that's something to think about, but does not need to be addressed today, I don't think. Anybody? Okay, so, okay, moving along.
Reason right on through.
Here we go. The emergency squad building, what's going on with it is the gentleman that had originally said that he would take it down if he could just have the building is too busy to do that now, so he can't do it anymore. So we're looking for someone who might be interested in doing that. Aaron, tell me if I'm correct when I say this, that it is not in the original bid to take down that structure, is that right?
Correct, yeah, they're responsible for the slab and the foundation, but not the building.
Okay, so he did say he could take it down for what, maybe $5,000 to $6,000, was that right?
Yeah, that's what he said.
Okay.
Correct, yeah.
If we can't find anyone to do that.
For how much?
$6,000?
Really?
I'm kind of hoping I can convince them to do 0, but we'll see if that works.
I'm gonna talk to
Like,
Goolsby
if
to
you
see
want,
if they
You can
might
have the
do it for
building,
the
you can
scrap.
have it up,
JT was, he was going to talk to them. I don't know if he has. He did not mention that today. So I'm gonna say, I hate to assume, but I'm going to guess that he probably did, and that's not in there, probably not in the time frame that we're needing it. So the reason the building needs to come down quicker than later is that that's where the last storm drain goes.
Yeah, the right underneath that building is where the new storm drain will be tying into the city storm. And they want to start at that point because it's the lowest, and they want to work back from there to make sure that they've got the slope flow that they need. So they would rather not start elsewhere on the site. They want to start at that point. So their current schedule showed beginning that work in April. We're into June. So we do want to get that resolved as quickly as possible so that they can start.
So that's, then again, the tower, we're looking at June 20th on that. The law books, we feel confident have been taken care of. We have a solution for those. So that's off the books. Still waiting on a little bit of testing on the asbestos to really see what we're getting into as far as what has to be removed, what doesn't have to be removed. You guys can sit over here if you want.
Yeah, the glue that was used to affix the acoustical tiles in the large courtroom was found to contain asbestos. They did one sample and a patch that shows that the plaster itself may contain asbestos. We're doubtful that that is original to the courthouse. We think that was probably a patch. They've taken some additional samples from the plaster just to rule that out, so we're waiting on those samples to come back. What is in the CNI contract is to remove all those acoustical tiles and remove the glue and paint back what was there originally. The problem is if it contains asbestos, they can't take it out. We'd have to pay somebody to do it. The county has a bid, to have somebody do that abatement work. But it would be nice if we didn't have to hire the abatement crew to do all that work because it's expensive. So
Yes.
we're trying to rule some things out with testing that's still out there.
Okay. Let's see. The budget update. So, Kelly, tell me how much money we still have appropriated at this point.
Once bills are paid this in the Blobble Fund, we're only gonna have about $266,700
Okay.
in the Blobble.
In
And
the
then, based on Aaron's projections and different things like that, do you have a number for CNI? You did, didn't you?
Yes, 750 is what they're
Oh, okay.
thinking.
Okay, so their part would be 750, Aaron's part would be about 8,600, and then approximately 200,000 for Renaissance.
But that'll be Osceola though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
So the Osceola is already appropriated.
That's correct.
It went under Rick's feet.
And, okay, so last month, there was some discussion, we had not received the draw, and that came in at like 302,000. Now, have you paid that?
No, we're just waiting on a signature, and we're supposed to have it tomorrow morning.
Okay. Okay. So is that 302 out of the balance you gave us?
Yes, that
Okay.
266,700 is with the 302 out already.
Okay.
So we're looking right at $1 million in expenditures, right?
Through July.
Through
Yeah.
July. Okay.
Maybe a little bit more.
I'm gonna make a motion that we send it to finance to appropriate, let's say 1.25 million. That way it'll give us about a $500,000 cushion in case we run into something to be appropriated for July's expenditures and get us possibly into August if we have any issues there.
Okay.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody, any discussion? Or I should have done the discussion first, sorry. Sorry about that. Okay, so Aaron has a couple of things that he wants to talk to us about as far as the Osceola courthouse and the roof. There's a couple of things going on that he wanted to mention.
Yep. Yeah, so, and I know at the last meeting, some questions were asked about, let me set some of this. Some questions were asked about some additional line items on the budget for the Blythe courthouse. So, do you want me to cover Blythe now and then Osceola, or?
Whichever way you want to.
So, on Blythe, I know we were talking about costs, and I thought, I haven't made any updates to the spreadsheet that I sent out that was way too confusing. I think maybe from now on, I'll just omit like 3 columns out of that budget, so we just put that, it's behind us, and it'll make it a lot easier. But there's no updates to that spreadsheet, other than there are some costs that are hanging out there that we're asking for prices on. One of them, Rick, you know about, is the Knox box thing.
Mhm.
So the cost to add the shunt trip to the main disconnect panel and add the Knox boxes and everything, and the additional pedestrian gates comes to $18,728. So that would be an additional cost that would come out of the contingency, which we have right now at $350.
I'll take the lead and explain that
Okay.
for everybody. What we ran into was normally we require an outside disconnect for fire and safety purposes. The NEC actually allows that you can put that disconnect inside the building immediately inside a door. In this case, we had to go, they would have had to go through 3 doors to be able to get to a disconnect, which by my city ordinance, we couldn't do that anyway. So what we did was we went back looking for a way to fix it so that we did not have to go back and revamp it, because it would have cost more to put the whole disconnect on the outside than it did to put in these shunt trip breakers. This will be a box that only the fire department has a key to. They're the only ones that can open it. And once they do, they will have 2 places to trip. Number 1 is our main power, and the second one is for the generator. Because when the main power goes off, the generator will automatically come on. So for fire safety purposes, if the fire department rolls, they're going to trip both. There are also Knox boxes on the gates so that they can open the gates to get in, because these will be beside the fire department connection, which is inside the secured area for the sheriff's department when they bring in prisoners. So,
Yeah.
and he added the walk-through gates. I didn't think about that, he did. The walk-through gates are to allow, once the firemen are inside, so that they can go all the way around the building without having to walk back outside of the secured area to get to another area.
This is quicker, yeah, so that's a total price for
Okay,
everything.
that's all the Knox boxes,
Correct.
the switches, wiring, the whole 9 yards.
Correct, yeah. Yeah, and for whatever it's worth, we, all the way through the design, we had the electrical room on an outside wall, which is what you normally do.
Right.
We had to shift it in to have a corridor come around, which ended up landlocking that electrical room. We didn't have much of a choice in that situation because the existing marble stairs came down further than we thought they did, and it just pinched us. There wasn't enough space between the bottom of the stairs, existing stairs, and the bottom of the existing concrete column. There just wasn't enough room to put the hallway where we wanted to. So we didn't have much of a choice but to flip the hallway in the electrical room, essentially ended up where we did. So it's an unavoidable expense to do.
It's one of those
what we
things
got
you
to do.
couldn't foresee because you didn't
Yeah.
know certain
Yeah.
things were there.
Yeah. The second thing that we asked for is an exhaust fan at the Sally Port. This is something that is not in the project right now that we haven't talked about, but it's just something that I've had in my mind. We've got these solid doors. I don't have a price yet back from CNI on a credit for the Sally Port doors, and swapping those out with a gate, which would be a lot less than the doors themselves. I wish I had that. I don't have it. We think it will be substantial. I'm thinking it will be at least 6 figures of a savings to do that, but I just don't have the number to share with you. But if we keep the doors themselves, one thing that we may want to consider, there's no exhaust fan in the salad court. So if somebody's running a truck and fumes are going, we may want to hit a switch to get those fumes out. We don't have that right now. Now, no one should be running a truck for very long in the salad court, but I did just ask for a price to add an exhaust fan. That's $6,700 to do the fan and modify a door on the outside to allow for that. So that is not, it's not necessary, but it could be an additional cost if that's something we wanted to do. It was asked in the last meeting about one of the line items that we had on the budget for decorative painting in the courtroom. I don't think everybody really knew what we had in mind, on that for the painting. And so I brought this. There's a couple copies here that I can pass around. This is the company that we had in mind to do that. They put together this quick little set of qualifications some time ago. And if you flip through it, you'll just see the kind of stuff that they do. There's actually one image close to the back of the Arkansas State Capitol. But these guys basically just go into rooms, courtrooms, important public spaces to do very nice painting and murals or printing. A lot of times it looks like painting, but it's really just a high quality print that you can't tell was not done by painting. It's a much less expensive deal. So something like this is essentially just a way to sort of step up the level of finishes in the courtroom, something that we had in mind, as opposed to just painting all the walls and things that are there now. There's not a lot of great architectural detail. The architectural detail is not accentuated very well in the room. There's a little bit of some clumsy detailing, which I admit show my sort of architect nerdiness. But there's just a way that it can be finished better that I think in a room that grand of that stature could be finished better. So the line item we have is for doing that.
You say it's not.
That's gonna be
paint, more like print, so what about in terms of durability and then also in upkeep maintenance?
Yeah, so, well, what we have in the job now is painting all the surfaces. We got paint in the job.
Right.
But pretty much what we had in mind was all on the ceiling. So we had in mind embellishing the beams, the panels within all the crown mold. So what we had in mind was all up high to try to do a better job of decorating the ceiling, essentially. So all of it is sort of out of.
But heat rises, so is it going to crack and start peeling in 10 years?
No, not that I'm aware of. I'll ask that question. I haven't.
I just wondered how long we could expect it to last, because, we're hoping for long-term everything.
Oh, sure, yeah, good question. What I will do is ask them, what's the longest, where have you done this printing before, and
Well,
the longest
50
lasting.
years and really mean it, but,
Yeah.
but maybe an idea.
Yeah, oh, sure, yeah. I don't think it would be an issue with it like delaminating and coming down, but yeah, so we can certainly ask that question. There would be an expectation on our part, and their part too, probably, that no one's coming back to maintain or fix this, that this will go in place and you shouldn't have to touch it. You shouldn't have
A
to-
lot of what you're saying is more like this,
Correct.
detailing the beams and
Correct.
things like that, not necessarily a mural.
Correct.
We might have a mural in there, but it would be more this.
Correct. Yeah, so basically the allowance that's in the project is only an allowance. It's a budget that we got with their help.
Okay.
What's a reasonable budget on something like this that would get us something nice, but we're not gonna spend an arm and a leg? We don't know exactly what we're going to do. He's got some ideas on what we might do, but the allowance is just a number that allows us to get something.
And I think the whole problem was, people didn't realize this was what you were talking about, so
Mhm.
much as they thought there was really a single painting hanging on the wall.
Yeah, no.
And that would have been an issue for
Right,
me. But
yeah.
This I understand.
Mhm. Yeah, so that's what we're after. That's the point of that one allowance figure anyway.
Okay.
We do have other allowances that we've got to resolve, displays. We had an idea, there's a couple of spaces where we wanted to put on display, more like exhibits, display county history, put some of the old documents on display, that sort of thing. Those are also in the allowances that we wanted to be able to do something with. We want to make sure that it's okay with you all if we pursue that, but those are things that they're in the CNI budget, it's in the bid right now, but they're just allowance items that are ours to do something with. We could do nothing and get that money back if we wanted. It's an option.
And Aaron, just like I said last week, if we spend every dime, that's fine, but I don't want to go over.
Understand? Yep.
And so those line items aren't something we're talking about today. They'll be closer to the end of the budget. Not at the end, but we'll be a lot better off knowing where we're at in the budget before those are spent.
Well, I would say that I think we need to know pretty soon if you want us to pursue those things. So in the case of the exhibits, it takes time for us to really pull together all the information and put together a storyboard and talk to the vendor that's going to give us an actual budget on what we're really going to do. So all that kind of stuff takes time. We've got to fabricate it, and ideally we're putting it in when the building's finished. So it's something we need to move on pretty soon if we're going to do it. Even though it goes in at the end of the job, it's still something that needs to go into planning pretty soon.
And one of the things that we had talked about was, there is a list of those items, and that may be something that we could look at and just kind of prioritize to say, we definitely know we'd like to do this, and that one of the things that he's talked about is a little bit of the history of Mississippi County, and in order to make that come together as the building gets finished, we'll need to find a historian of some sort, and then see what story it is that we would like to tell, what items that would tell that story, such as, pictures, photographs. We would need some verbiage to go along with it. That will take time. I mean, that'll just take just gathering pictures, gathering the information, having it, the pictures reproduced. I mean, that part of that will take some time. So that may be something we need to decide yes or no on. That. He's got a couple of other things to show. One of the things, they don't have any pricing on it at the moment, and it's not in the bid. The tile stairs, there's discussion about etching the past county judges' names in the front of the stair, like that.
Yeah, the riser, the stairs.
Thank you. That's not included, and we don't really have a price yet, but that's just kind of in part of the allowances as far as some of the stuff goes. What's another example of?
Signage, interior signage is something else that needs to be resolved. Digital displays, so we want to try to minimize the amount of clutter that you see on the walls and the windows and the doors inside the courthouse, and signs and do this, don't do that kind of stuff, and just try to manage that to a degree where it's not so cluttered. And there are signs at places, placards that allow you to slip out information, but it's managed, makes it easy for you to swap these out without having to just print off something quick and scotch tape it, to the door. So it just is a little bit nicer way to share information in the courthouse. Or flat screen televisions where you have rotating displays and information needs to be shared versus court boards. So that kind of stuff is covered in the allowance.
And so those are things where we could, I guess we could go anywhere from a court board to a flat screen TV,
Yeah.
But the allowance.
Or 8.5 by 11 on scotch tape.
But the allowance is covering up to the flat screen. So that would be a decision that we would, that at some point we're going to have to make. How much, is that is that where we're going to spend that money?
And let's, you said that you might bring the spreadsheet back just
Yep.
with one item.
Mm-hmm.
Sort of list that out as in our,
Okay.
what the allowances are for those type of things.
Yeah.
So we can,
They've already got that.
Yeah, in that
That's on
spreadsheet that I
that.
passed out in the little brown box, it was a sort of colored box
Okay.
where I was bringing all those out. And we've tracked 2 out of the 12 that there are, and we're under budget in those 2 so far, the AV and the light fixtures. So we're tracking below budget, yeah. So I think the next time.
so have we firmed up the audio visual? I know you said.
Yes, that is I'm sorry, no. We have not yet re-engaged them on the AV, we will very soon, but we would expect that number to come down. That is an actual bid based on previous discussions, but that includes some monitors that are gonna go away since we talked, so that number should come down.
And we already know that the light fixtures have come down.
Those monitors went away because of a rearrangement of the seating.
Yeah, we used to have more monitors for each of the jurors. We got 18 jurors instead of 12, so we had to take out the rails between the rows, so it just eliminates the number of monitors and speakers for those jurors. So it'll come down a little bit.
Mr. Chairman, I might have missed it when I had to step out, but you realize Monday is June 15th in our Finance Committee meeting.
Yes,
Y'all talked about money.
we did.
Okay.
We did that quickly.
Then I'm fine, you don't have to go back.
I won't be here Monday.
Okay.
I'm going to, I gotta go to Texas for a few.
So the Sally Port doors do have potential to have some savings. It does look like if we use the 18,000, and then it looks like there may be another 12 that could potentially be added, so we would be eating up, it looks like this month, about $30,000 of the contingency. Is that where we, do we have some credits or something that I'm not thinking of?
Well, I just got a text from CNI, and I would need to look this over, but right now he's guessing the credit on the Sally Port doors would be somewhere in the range of 135,000. So that would be the difference between the Sally Port doors that we've specified and gates.
You got a gut feeling on that?
My gut feeling is, aesthetically.
So I'm just asking, and it's fine.
Aesthetically, I'm fine with the gates. I'm fine with the less expensive gates. We would add, I think this price includes, an aluminum sheet that obscures the vision into the Sally Port to a degree, not as well as the other bifold doors. The bifold doors that I've got a video of them in operation. They're in North Little Rock where the trolley barn is. These are very tall, large bifold doors. Been in operation there for 8 years. And talked to the guy that works them every day. He's had no trouble out of them. They're beautifully operating. They open fast, no trouble. They're reliable, good, very good-looking doors. But they're sturdy, stable, expensive. As far as security goes, the bifold doors that we have in there now are the best. As far as aesthetics go, I could go either way, honestly. I think it'd look fine if you had open gates or if you had these bifold doors. My biggest worry is that you'll put in the gates and someone will decide that's just not good enough security-wise, they're just too open. And they'll come out and you put in some overhead doors that will really look bad. So I feel like it's either or, like either the gate look, and these are decent gates, they've got some nice ornament to it, or the bifold doors, which look good. But I don't think sectional, typical sectional overhead door right there in that front of the building, I think would look pretty bad. So, the bifold doors definitely offer you better security. They're going to hold up better long term. These are longer term doors. Gates notoriously have issues in a lot of ways. A little bit more maintenance, but if you maintain them, they should be fine. They are swinging type gates, so they're going to open out. They take a little bit more time to operate. The bifold doors are much quicker, so it's a little bit quicker action to get in and out when you need to. I feel overall, I feel pretty good about where we're at with the contingency. So I think we're okay.
So you think we'd be okay if we left as is,
I do.
budget-wise, that's all we're concerned about, budget. We're not trying to pick paint colors and.
Right, I understand. Yeah, and it's true that this one savings, is significant. I can't think of any other, line item that you can sort of pick and lock that much out of the budget right off the bat. This one will be it. The doors themselves list for I think the bid was about $250,000 for these 3 doors. I don't know if the gate, they're offering whatever the difference is, 250, and they're saying 125. I don't know if the three gates make up that difference, you know, so I just.
This is not an in and out circle about, it's in,
Straight in, straight out.
and straight out, so 3 vehicles at a time.
Correct, yeah. Yeah, and one of them is a little shorter than the other 2 bays. So I think for practical purposes, it's gonna give you room for 2 vans, 1 car, but 2 vans could fit most of the time.
You're talking about safety with gates opposed to the doors. Whose safety are you talking about? The people inside or the people outside? Or both?
Both, yeah,
Okay.
both. Yeah, I mean, I think if you had doors that were shut there, it would naturally discourage people from any dumb ideas, you know, about getting in there, if they were solid doors versus a gate, which, gee, I think I could climb that, you know, that kind of thing. I think the solid doors would tend to discourage the idiots from trying something.
We're talking about a project that's gonna last 100 years,
Yeah, this was meant to be a long term.
so we're talking $1,000 a year difference. If it lasts 100 years, of course, I'm sure the gates or the doors, either one aren't gonna last that long, but for a long time.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, and I think one thing to point out here that Aaron's talking about is, so this is probably one of the very few ways to save this much money in just kind of one lump sum. So,
But then the question becomes, do we need to save this much money to stay within budget? That's our biggest concern.
Well-
I'm like Rick, I don't care if we spend every penny, just not a penny more.
right. Well, and so here's at the end of the day, I mean, we have to make this decision now. So let's just say we go with the doors, then if we get to the end of the project and we are running tight, then the areas in the brown box will probably go away. So that's what you're trading a little bit.
Okay,
So,
good analogy, accurate.
Yeah, I understand, yeah.
But your problem is that right now, we're also saying that a lot of this, we have to start making decisions on quickly.
Yeah.
well, some of it anyway. Yeah, some of it, yes.
We're not necessarily making firm decisions yet. We do need to know if you want us to pursue some of those things. You know, if you feel, we could talk more about each one of those to see what you think, but let us know if it's something you want us to pursue, in other words.
So is there any, the discussion about etching the names of the
Yeah.
county judges on the stairs? Is that something that you would like to see and get a price on, or?
We had some additional etching, like on the Edgar Lloyd. We had, you know, in the plans, we had a place underneath the stairs for an Edgar Lloyd memorial deal. So we had some etching in mind for there as well. So these are all just sort of floating out there, you know, in these allowance items. Question is, do you want us to pursue that? We could pull back on the scope, you know, we could certainly reduce the amount of etching that we have in mind, just to make sure that we're not going over those allowance figures. We can do that. Because I don't necessarily want to put you on the spot, because I understand the position you're in. We're trying to manage the budget. But if you feel these are things you just don't want to pursue, you know, let us know. We won't.
Well, let me ask a question. Where would the name of the judges go?
Yeah, so let me show you that real quick. And it would be, this is in the little video rendering that we did of the courthouse. And so this is, I don't know if you've seen this, but this is the exterior, this is the rendering. And if you watch, this is the Southport doors we're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Now we're walking in the front door. That's the lobby, and you see over here, going up the stairs. It's kind of hard to see in that view. Let me play that. But basically, in the risers, as you're walking up the stairs and you're seeing through the glass, you're seeing the old courthouse. But as you're going up those stairs, the names are etched into the stair risers.
Okay.
And they could be county judges, they could be veterans, they could be anybody. That is just meant to suggest, you're putting in names of somebody into the building.
The only thing I see against that, if I'm going up those stairs, I don't think I would be on.
You don't need
Yeah.
to be reading, you need
No,
to
no,
walk in.
no. I don't know how the rest of them feel, but I
Yeah.
might read 2 or 3 on one step, but.
Yeah.
mm-mm.
So, yeah, we can certainly,
But we can discuss it as a committee.
okay, all right.
Well, I know it's staff, the lounge appliances are, what is this external monumental signage?
Right. So that is usually on a courthouse, usually there's something out front that says Mississippi County Courthouse. You've got it outside right now, the one in Burdette. There's usually some monumental signage out front.
Okay. I'm just trying to make sure I understand what each one of these are.
That one's, I feel least about, that one's probably the least significant. I mean, that one could easily go away because we're already putting Mississippi County Courthouse, etching it in the cornice on the addition. You might have seen it in the video, Mississippi County Courthouse.
Yeah.
So you could omit that for sure. It's pretty easy and not miss it.
The Medal of Honor display, that's what you're talking about inside the building. There will be some etching there for that.
Yeah.
Okay. The Northeast Hall 108 and 208 displays.
Yeah, those are the displays I was.
So that may be something like a 55-inch flat screen hanging on a wall, or smaller, just giving messages.
No,
for people?
I think there's a different line item for digital displays perhaps in there, but those hall displays, I think it's a $44,000 allowance or something.
Mhm.
That's more exhibits. So these are some hallways as you walk through from the addition into the existing building. We've got some translucent panels in mind, and on these panels you can mount images and documents for display. And these translucent panels are essentially a screen to control traffic, to keep people in the hallway, but they're open. You can put your hands through it. But on the other side of these translucent displays are all the old county records, county books, all those nifty old documents. So it's kind of a way to allow the public to see their old history, their old documents, and at the same time put some of it on display. So maybe like the oldest marriage record in the file can be there, or map, or an old land deed. Photographs of some of the most important county events can be on the wall. So that allowance is meant to cover what's going on those walls, what's going on those displays.
Okay. Then the interior signage and announcement displays, 20,000.
That's the other stuff, yeah, digital and signage.
New plum work, surfaces for large clerk layout tables.
Yeah, so those are, the clerks have
Okay,
these,
that's what I was thinking of.
yeah, they've got those big giant table, right, the big tables that have all the books and stuff in them. Well, the tops are really bad worn and they need to be replaced, and so that's covering replacing those tops.
Time capsule plaque. What that is, AV equipment, single recess cabinets, okay. Site furnishings, benches, trash receptacles, etc. Is that for the interior of the building? That's for the
exterior,
outside?
yeah, that's right, yeah. Yeah, we have a separate budget, and it's not in the allowance list, it's down further. The furniture, $750,000, I think that's for interior furniture.
And at one time you felt like maybe the additional parking lot may come in less than what's on the budget sheet, is that right?
No. So so that's where that's
Sorry.
where I need, that's where I need to get rid of those other columns.
Okay.
At one time, Baldwin and Shell gave us a number of like 500-something thousand. Thank you guys. And that was just a budget that they gave us a year ago. And at that time it was an alternate, like, okay, if you want us to replace that parking lot, it would cost $500 or something. But we made a decision long ago that we're going to close that road, we're going to make a parking lot over there, we just put it in a design, CNI bid it that way.
Okay.
So the bid that's in the contract now
It's pretty firm.
is firm, and
Okay.
it's probably a lot less than that number.
So the 599,000 basically
Is worthless. I should get rid of those columns. It means
Now,
nothing anymore.
basically, it's already in the budget.
It's in the budget, yeah. Yeah, the only reason I had those columns was just to give you all the ability to see how this thing has progressed over time. When we started, our budget was here, it turned into this, it turned into this, and then you can see where we're at now, and you can see a pattern, I think, show that we've done a pretty good job of managing the budget overall. I had some other show and tell, but I don't know how much time you have. Yeah, this is the fun stuff. If you want to look at that real quickly, is that okay?
You're the chairman.
All right.
Oh, no, it's great stuff. I've seen it. This is, and like you said, this really is the kind of the fun stuff of.
Yeah,
of
I think, and not everybody really knowing what we're doing to a degree, and we want to be able to show you interior finishes and stuff just to give you the latest information. So very quickly, roof. So you all know it's got a new roof on it now. So the new roof at the Blytheville Courthouse is clay tile. It matches the old clay tile. It's a different tile than this one, but it is that color. But that's what's there right now. They're finished with the roof. The original roof, not the original roof, the roof on the addition there's a flat section and then there's a hip roof that's got a standing seam metal roof on it, sort of, over where the courtroom addition is going to be. And originally we specified essentially this PVC membrane in this patina old copper color, and they basically just weld on that thing to the panel, and it looks like standing seam metal. And we had that on there for several reasons, but the contractors come back to us and said, you know what, we're not wild about that. We will put a new metal roof on it, real metal standing seam for no additional cost. Instead of this, I think that's just because they're not crazy about trying to figure all this out and possible imperfections of seams. So, and everybody knows this stuff. So we're saying deal, does that sound good to you? Yes, I think a real metal roof would be great. So we're doing a flat panel, short seam, so it's kind of close to the historic look, but it would be in a color similar to this. I've got a color sample somewhere. So it's going to be a green color, real similar to the clay tile. I think it'll look good. That sounds okay. Staying with the Blytheville Courthouse, this is something that we haven't talked much about, but I think it's helpful for you guys to see it. This is in the new courtroom. So in the new courtroom in the addition, it's a double barrel vaulted ceiling. So it'll be a nice space. It won't be as large as the existing courtroom, but on the ceiling of the courtroom, all the walls are drywall, the floor is cork, fairly solid surfaces, but acoustics is real important in courtrooms. So that's where this comes into play. This is a ceiling that hangs from the ceiling. It's just a suspended system. It's an acoustical plaster is what they call it, and basically it finishes out really well. It looks like plaster when it's finished, but it absorbs the sound. So it'll have a significant impact on the acoustics in that room, not have to do carpet or acoustical panels to try to deaden the sound, and it'll deaden all the
Stop
echo.
echoing, things like that.
Correct. So this is a huge improvement over over just sheetrock. But it is expensive, but it is in the bid, so that's an example of something that we think is important for the success of the project, but wanted you to be aware of what's being done.
In the new courtroom, there is, it's a court floor, which I don't know if we have a piece of that, but in the old courtroom, the existing courtroom, they're gonna put carpet because there's the old, we can't put that on the ceiling.
Yeah, that's right. We can't put that on the old ceiling. It's an example of someplace we try to cut cost a little bit, not put that on the old courthouse. So it'll just be all the hard plaster, but you got hard plaster walls, hard plaster ceiling, quarry tile floor, a lot of hard surfaces to control acoustics. So we just decided we'll carpet the courtroom to help with the acoustics. There'll be a slight pad underneath, and we'll have some acoustic wall panels in places, but we'll be limited a little bit to what we can do acoustically in that room.
And one of the things, the carpet samples, I may be getting ahead of Aaron here, so it's carpet tiles, so, and they're in different, you can put them in different patterns, and some don't have patterns, but, so if one piece gets messed up, you just pull it up and put a new piece down.
Right, that's right, the other carpet tiles. Okay, so real quickly, last thing to show you is Osceola. Was on the scaffold in Osceola, The copper is coming off the dome as I speak, and they are beginning to expose the wooden deck beneath the copper dome. That's the wooden part of the deck that's underneath the copper dome, and this is on the side where you had some panels blow off a few years ago, and the reason the panels blew off was there's not much of a deck there. So there's
That's not fire damage?
It is fire damage.
Oh, I started saying it looks like fire damage.
So, that's the deck. Now, this is the worst section I'm showing you.
Sure.
Most of the deck is not that bad. There's structure underneath the ribs, which are pretty bad, and those probably will have to be replaced. So I think we are looking at probable additional cost on the Osceola project to patch areas that are damaged.
In Osceola,
That's.
we put 2 million down there, we were basically
We had
1.1 to replace the roof. So we've got an $800,000 contingency for that.
Correct, that's right. So on that budget, you see it's about $800,000 that's earmarked for Osceola that would cover things like this, that would not impact your bottom line, but it is gonna absorb part of that $2 million earmark to fix these things. So if we can fix this, the second floor windows are in bad shape. Terracotta, I mentioned before, it'd be nice if we can handle that. It'll take every bit of what you got, probably, just to handle those 3 things, probably. What I'm passing around here are pieces off the dome, the little buttons that go up, if you look carefully at the dome.
Are these going back on, or what are you putting back on?
It'll be copper, but it'll be all new.
Oh, new copper. Okay.
Yeah, so everything coming off is going to be off. The dome itself will be all new copper. This is the man at the top of the scaffold. He's at the cupola right now. The scaffold is making its way over to the cupola. They expect that they'll be able to lift this off in one piece with a crane. They want to put this on a trailer and ship it off to Chicago, where they're at, to be able to measure it and document it and duplicate it. It'll just be a whole lot easier if this is in their shop to do it from. But you'll be getting a new cupola. So every bit of the copper that's going to be on the roof will be new. We just told them to ship that back. It's 10 feet wide, so I don't know where you're going to put it. But you may want to think about it. I don't know if you got a little museum big enough to hold it, but it's yours if you want it. But it's the original cupola on the copper dome. We're seeing, as we get up closer to it, not just problems with the deck, but the copper itself. It's just past its useful life. We see the past repairs that have been made over the years. We see about we count 4 or 5 repairs at different times at the base of the dome where it meets the terracotta. It's real interesting to see what they tried to do in the beginning. Then the second time they came back to fix this problem, third time they came back to try to fix this problem, fourth time, and it's still a problem. So it's just interesting to sort of see that repeated attempts to try to fix it. We're going to talk through how we can solve that, once and for all with this. It's a lot of water coming down that dome that's hitting a shelf with a lot of force. We need to figure out a way to either slow the water or just hold up to all that abuse. So we're scratching our heads with that right now.
Does anybody know when the fire happened at Osceola?
I think somebody said, I think there's been more than one, maybe 2 fires.
I've asked that question. I haven't
Tricia
found
was
it. I'm curious to know that. I'm sort of wondering how, it's a miracle that, how is it that anybody got that fire out, given where it's at?
Yeah, under that copper.
Tricia said they used to have to work outside, waiting on people after, so she was there.
So,
On the second one, I guess.
When was that? What year?
I mean, years, help me out, says she was there 28 years?
38 years.
38 years. So,
Past collector.
yeah, so
It was during her time.
1970.
Okay. So
But it looks like there's more than one fire there?
I was in there
Somewhere there's gonna be that history.
We've only found this one spot that's got the, now they don't have all the copper off yet, they might find a second spot. This is
Okay.
the only one that we have known that there was a fire.
It burned back in the lower floor, the courtroom in the lower floor burned in the early 70s because I was working as an EMT and OCO. I worked there from 79 to 81. So I know it burned during that time frame.
That may have been it, the second one that you're talking
And
about.
I didn't think it ever made it up to the roof because it was in the municipal courtroom, which was on the first floor over on the northeast side of the building. So if it got up that high, it must have went through more than what I'd realized.
I don't know if it just,
We rolled over there because they had a fire and we got smoke inhalation that night.
so just run out of oxygen. How on earth did they put out that fire from where it is?
All I can tell you is they knocked the wood down in the courtroom fairly fast. I remember seeing that.
They had to restain all the woodwork going into the doors and things.
That
Made it look good though.
That was, I was
All
actually
the
very
levels.
quiet for that. That was, I would say that's in the 80s. That was probably 1980 that happened.
Well, Tricia and them said they had to work outside, so.
Well, okay, and then if you guys wanna take a look at them, there's the two design boards over there that show the paint colors and the flooring and the carpet tiles and just different things.
So you're seeing, the lobby tile is this tile down at the bottom. This
That's
is the
the,
lobby
and that
tile.
was what they were talking about, etching right
Yeah.
there.
This
that one.
would also be on the stair risers, but also be on the floor. These are in the bathroom tile in the new bathrooms. This is carpet. This is carpet in the courtroom. This is carpet in the offices in the addition. This is the walk-off, I think, in the lobby. Millwork. So this is the countertops for, well, this is the bathroom. And then for the millwork, well, yeah, it must be here. I hired somebody, by the way, to pull us together. This is Amanda Benham at Cromwell. She's good.
In the hallways, so the hallways is the kind of the wall vinyl that's below the chocolate, that right there.
Yeah.
And so that's gonna go in part of the hallways, and then there's a tile that I really like that they're gonna lay kind of on other parts of the hallways that, so I think that'll be nice as well.
Yeah, so there's durable finishes in our lobbies, in our public spaces, the bathrooms. I don't know the toilet partition show, but it's abuse resistance, tough stuff.
Okay, the etching, that tile, where did that come out in the budget, or is that, are you talking that's an additional?
Yeah, so
charge that would come out of
the tile itself is already in the job. We just don't have the etching in there just yet. We haven't worked out exactly how much etching and what it's gonna say and where it's gonna go. It's just an idea. That's what comes out of the allowance, which is in the bid. It's just not
You
accounted
should
for.
get us a better idea of what that's gonna cost here
Correct,
shortly.
right, yeah. And we would aim for it to be less than what's in that allowance. We would not go over allowance.
One of the other cost saving measures, the doors, so there is some of the mill work that's stained and it's,
Yeah,
those are the colors, but then all of the entry door, like just the office doors and things like that, are now painted doors.
yeah. So we have, in the project right now, the majority of our interior doors are painted MDF, but they are style and rail doors. So they look like the old period style doors with their panels. There's glass in the upper part. So they're still pretty doors with bronze hardware, over bronze hardware. But in the courtroom, the large courtroom, we have pre-finished quarter sawn white oak doors, real pretty doors that would go into the large courtroom. We did ask for a cost to just change all the doors out to quarter sawn white oak because it would be nicer. Probably hold up a little better than a painted door, but that was like $80,000 bucks. So we struggled with that one. the judge and I, and, you know, just given where we're at with the budget, and we want to make dang sure we're not going over the contingency and all, that's more of an optional thing. So, you know, he agreed that we just stick with what's in the job right now, which is a painted door and the quarter-sawn white oak, which is a light color in the courtroom. The court and floors in the new courtroom.
Will that be what people see in the courtroom?
Yeah, so this would be in the new courtroom. The old courtroom, we've talked about putting carpet down over the quarry tile. So then that's mainly for acoustics. We can't keep the existing, well, we can't keep the current quarry tile, but there's been patches over the years. We've removed some walls where there's just some ugly, you know, stains behind. So it's just really hard to patch that old floor and have a look at it. But acoustics is a big deal. You know, the hard quarry tile and the hard plaster.
There's already an echo in there.
There's already an echo, yeah. So
But you're adding panels.
And we'll do some acoustical panels as well, yeah. But this is probably where you're gonna get most of your sound deadening, is in that surface. Questions, concerns? Look okay?
Looks good.
You won't take it? Does it look good? Yeah.
It does look good.
I think so. It looks
No,
great.
it looks nice.
No problem with that.
I don't think, so really, I mean, that's pretty much all I have for today. We can wait until Aaron has a chance to really look over the Sally Port doors. We could get an opinion from the sheriff on them, and see what we come up with our asbestos issues. I know the original quote that they did get to remove it was somewhere around $45,000. So that would, again, take up some of the contingency. I know that we'll have to make this decision pretty soon, but if you think about it, so we're in the positive 30,000 with the things that the things that you were talking about, and then if we have to take down the emergency squad door ourselves, a couple other things. I mean, we could be potentially over the next 2 months into the contingency to the tune of about $75,000. So.
This 18 is that's going to be a.
That's for sure. That's a for sure. And then one of these other ones, I forgot what these two are, is a for sure. The 45 is probably.
It's a problem.
Is a probable.
But we're also going to pick up some more off of the audio visual.
A little bit, yeah.
Let's say we pick up $5,000, that would put a dent in it. So, and then we don't have some of these other figures. These are our contingencies. As we start to get some of these in, we may see more of a savings
Right.
in that area. Yeah, I kind of like with the doors, I realize you just got the quote. I'd like for you to look at it better.
Yeah.
I'd kind of like to see kind of, if we had an idea of what that would look like. And with our gates. Are the gates not going to be as tall as the opening because someone might be tempted to climb it?
Yeah, right.
Or is it just that it might be something there they can climb?
Yeah, they're not going to be as tall. Obviously the solid doors are meant to go in the full opening. The opening's 9 foot, 14 feet wide. The gates would be 8.5, and we've got a little bit of a swoop, to them to give them a little bit of good look to them. So they're not. It's not a enclosed opening. Somebody might think they can get up in there.
I'll try.
Yeah,
You glad somebody
I was
gonna try?
caught once.
And blind you are. I know that.
So when are we going to meet again?
The next meeting is June 30th, which is on a Tuesday. How's that work for everybody?
Should be around.
There's no problem.
All right.
2:30 again, is that?
How about the Osola, do we need to go ahead and approve approve that?
That money is still appropriated
For them to do the,
right, they still have the whole 2 million so that they can make those as they need to.
Yeah, that's what we were at.
I know he's kind of asking.
No, that's something they'll have to do. That's, I mean, it's gonna be one of those things they're gonna have to do it. We had about $800,000 contingency left right there after the dome was done. So,
It'd be $800.
you don't think that you don't think that that's gonna take the entire 800,000 to repair the structure underneath the dome?
No, I don't think it'll take the full 800, but I think it will take the full 800 to do the deck and the windows, if we do that, and the terracotta. There's easily that amount left. And that money could easily evaporate.
Are you doing all the windows?
No, we're not doing any of the windows right now, so I'm just saying that I have noticed that the windows on the second floor, they're in courtroom looking to the north, are in really bad shape.
Wasn't there some kind of grant money that we was looking into?
Yes, we're waiting on grant money.
Historical.
We should hear about that any day now.
That's how those windows were put in,
Yeah,
with the historical grant. Oh.
yeah, they've been repaired. I mean, they've
Yeah.
already been tried to, they're on their last leg, you know,
Those
they're kind of
were
like the
put in
Tower Domes.
So what, would we have to replace those windows?
I
completely, or-
think, no,
You
they, I
got what it
think
would
all you
like
have to
to
replace the
speed
satchels.
bump.
I think the frames
Wow.
are okay, you have to replace the
That's when they were
satchels.
put in.
So it
I was
may be,
there.
there's
All of
5
them done,
windows.
Hmm.
I mean,
All of them
maybe
went
Well,
down.
that.
12, 15,000, you
How
know,
long
to
is
do all those windows.
If you were there, like,
and-
how long?
8
was-
years ago, probably, I think.
8 years ago.
But there were only some of them done. They weren't all of them done.
In the upper courtroom there was, wasn't
I don't know about that. I know on the second floor, like, the back offices were done, in the front office, there were a few windows that probably wasn't done.
there? Mhm.
And that was in, like, used to be the assessor's office straight across from us, and the county clerk's office, I think they were in the circuit, they were. Maybe the circuit was on the west side, or the east side wasn't done.
I should say too, by the way, that even though we've mentioned that we've done all the excavation in the addition, and they've started with the footings right now in the addition, they're pouring the elevator pit tomorrow, they say. They haven't yet started on the storm drain work, so there's still underground work that has to be done. You just don't know, you know, what you don't know when it comes to getting underground. So that contingency is meant to cover those things that we don't know about yet. So we're not out of the woods in terms of being shocked by something that no one knew anything about. So it's just something we need to keep in mind.
Okay, on the emergency squad building, I know of a couple of people that might be interested to take it down.
Put
Okay,
my name in there too. I wanna look at it. I'm fixing to buy a shop. I don't know what I want, whether I wanna do this or not, but I'd look at it. I'll look at it right now.
My thing is, if somebody wants to take it down for the material, they can have it.
well, that is what we decided I think that's what we decided in the last meeting. However, in the last meeting, the guy that was gonna take it down was not a Mississippi County resident, he was a subcontractor. So I don't know what the discussion is now. I mean, I think everybody was in agreement that it was okay for someone just to have it for materials. But now, if there's more than one person, I don't know how I'm just out of my element there. I don't know how you go about.
Whoever can get it the quickest. It
Okay,
needs- it needs-
there you go.
Well, I mean, it's got, if we look at it, we need to say, what is your drop dead date you gotta have it down by? That's.
Well, that was April.
April. Yeah, according to the schedule that CNI has right now,
Yeah.
that they were gonna start storm drain work in April.
And be finished.
And they start underneath that building.
Well, we both know that it was as wet as it was. They
Yeah.
weren't gonna start it.
Yeah, and we talked about it today, and, you know, the way CNI put it to us was asphalt's kind of their thing. You know, they want to make sure that they get asphalt down before the winter comes.
Oh, yeah.
And they can't do that until
So
they get
if we
their.
say within the next if somebody wants it and they can take it down within the next 2 weeks and have it completely off the property,
That'd be awesome. Yeah, I think that'd be great.
I know of a business here in Blytheville that might want it.
Yeah, okay,
That's-
so I'll be on, okay, so JT has been kind of heading up that search a little bit, and I do believe he did, I don't know this 100%, but he was going to talk to, Mr. Goolsby about seeing if he could do it. I don't know if
I'll
he's
call
talked to
Mr.
him.
Goolsby.
If he does it, it'll be $5,000 or $6,000.
No, well,
I think
that
that's
was the
where
thing,
that
we were just
And it
saying.
will be completely destroyed, because they will not take it apart, they will bring in
Yeah, that's
track
right.
hole, take it down.
That's right, that's right.
And that's fine, I don't care how it leaves, so long as it leaves.
That's kind of where I am.
If somebody wants to come in and says, I'm gonna make scrap out of it, and they wanna take it down that way, that's fine with me too. If somebody says, I wanna come in and take it down, but I will drop dead, on the 25th of this month, it needs to be gone.
Okay, and then that way we would be
Well,
able to talk about it
if
on
somebody
the
wants
first.
to save it and re-erect it somewhere, it's gonna take several weeks to come down.
Yeah.
You're not gonna disassemble that thing in a day or so.
Well, the people I'm talking about, that's what
No,
they do.
if you shove it down with a tractor, I'm not talking about that.
No, I'm
saying,
talking about somebody who's got equipment to take it down.
No, will take as much time to take it down as it took to erect it.
Yeah, that's a good point. So be careful, I guess, with, the point is, it needs to come down as soon as possible, so we want, whatever it is,
Okay,
we want.
so,
it to go.
okay, I'll let you guys, I mean, JT's, like I said, he's the one kind of talking about it, so.
Well, look, I can get the man part to do it, but
But
they're
yes.
right, it's gonna take as long to take it down as it does to put it up. I've had some
Well,
bad experience with that.
I saw one put up out here at the hospital, and I said they'd be 6 weeks. 3 days, they walked away from it. And it was completed, and it's the same type of building.
But see, the thing you have to keep in mind is there is still mechanical equipment in there too that's gonna have to come down.
Yeah. Well, they didn't have to put that in this
Well.
particular building, so.
Okay, other than that, so we're looking at June 30th, to meet again.
Cutting in on my Heber time.
You're what?
My Heber time.
Oh, Heber
Heber Springs. June 30th, 2:30. Okay.
Anything else?
Nope, but that's all I have. Get a motion, I guess.
We're adjourned.
I'll
Motion
There we go.
adjourned.
I definitely said.
Well, yeah.